Hello, facilitators. It's Marci Melzer, Intuitive SLP, and I am here with a seemingly random live video. But if you've been following my channel, you see that things are starting to change. I'm digging more into my metaphysical work and energy work, and today I'm going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about this telepathic communication. And yeah, we're going to be talking about how to cultivate your telepathic abilities. So I know a lot of you might be watching this on the replay. That's just fine. Welcome to all of you who are interested in developing. Again, like I said, I'm going to be talking about how to cultivate your telepathic abilities. Now, I'm saying cultivate because you already have them. Everybody is out there receiving messages. That's why you're interested in the kinds of things that I'm talking about. That's potentially why you're feeling like, I want to dig more into what I understand that my child is saying. And you probably already are dabbling in this. You, as the parent or caregiver of a child who's not talking yet, or somebody who even works with or knows, maybe you're a nanny or a caregiver or a auntie, uncle, grandma, grandpa, anybody out there, if you are connecting, caring for, loving, facilitating with a child who's not talking yet, then you are receiving messages because that child is shooting them at you 24/7 if they're not talking. And they might be using behavior to sort of add to those messages, but it all starts in their heart, mind, spirit, energy, their intention, right? The intentional communication. So again, if you've been caring for a late talker, these messages are flying at you. Now, what's amazing about being in the habit of interpreting a nonverbal being, I'm going to say any little child, babies, animals that you care for. Maybe you do animal rescue or you have pets, a lot. You're one of those that's had a lot of animals in your life, or you train animals, any of that. You know that in order to work with these entities that aren't using speech to communicate, you've got to understand and communicate somehow. And that's what we're talking about here. That's what we're going on. So here's somebody who says, thanks for your work. I'm glad that you're here watching me, because that's what we're going to be talking about today, is actually how my work is turning into your work, because the intention of you cultivating these messages is so that you can enhance and transform them into language models that your child, or the late talker in question here who's shooting out these telepathic messages to you, these kids will be able to then pick up, oh, this feeling or idea that I'm communicating to you, there's language that I can use to do that. I don't have to resort to pulling out that behavior. So like I say, you are receiving messages, but you have to think about right now, where and when are they coming through the most? Now, it might be that you're one of those that is receiving messages in the moment, and they're big messages. Boom, it's physical stuff, because the telepathy is being missed or covered up or masked by all of these physical behaviors, noises, actions, all of that stuff. And you might not be seeing the message in there if you're focused only on the behavior and all of that, and not what those behaviors mean and why your child is choosing to use them now and here. Then you're missing it, right? So that's where it all starts, is you have to stop and say, wait a minute, this behavior is not all it seems. It's not face value what's going on here. There's something going on behind it, and you know it. You know it in your heart, because your first instinct might be to judge it, especially if it's aggressive, if you get hit in the face or, whatever. And this is your opportunity to cultivate the message right now. And that's what we're talking about. So when you receive them, where you connect most easily. Now, you could also be one of those that is receiving messages later, like you are reliving these experiences where you took your child to a place and then they had a big behavior, and then you're like, oh, I didn't, I didn't preempt that. I didn't plan ahead. I didn't think through. He was just trying to get into the thing he wanted, and I didn't prepare him, and I didn't do whatever, right? So then you're getting the message later, like, because where and when you are able to connect to the telepathy messages, when you have looked past that behavior to get into what does this really mean. And 100% of the time, if you do that either in the moment or later, you will know what it means. And you'll have that, oh, he needed this, or she was upset about that, or she was too excited to control herself. You'll know why the behavior came out. And then you'll look back on coulda, shoulda, woulda. I could have done this, I should have done that. So this is how I want to guide you as moving forward. So when you get the message, remember, you're getting them. You're getting the messages. When you get them, you start to look for confirmation signs, okay? Because what happens is, if you get the message and you go, oh, he needs me to help him facilitate this experience so that I can be the voice for this feeling behind this message, and I can communicate to whoever's judging him or him about the situation. Now, if you missed the opportunity, which a lot of us do, right, you're going to see that same message. Those confirmations happen again and again and again. But it's only when you tune in to the meaning behind, because if you keep thinking about why is he still doing XYZ, and you list the XYZs, and other people say, well, throw the question right back to you. Why is he doing that? Why is this behavior coming up over and over and over and over and over again? Because, I'm seeing this thing. It's here over and over and over again. And it's reminding you that you didn't, because what happens, that's what's great about this, when you do figure it out, you don't see those signs. And in a late talker's case, there's those red flag behaviors. It's always going to be, folks, it's always going to be something that triggers you into inspired action. It's going to trigger you into some kind of action. Okay, it's up to you to choose the inspired action or the judgment, labeling, the stuff that other people do, right? Remember, because your child is showing you these signs and behaviors. And if you see a new behavior come out or a new sign, now they could be positive or negative. You could see signs that your child is starting to listen as they look at you, as they bring you things, because they're testing you to see which way are you going with your interpretation of their messages. Are you going to judgment, or are you going to intuitive interpretation and telepathic transmutation of that? Oh, he meant this. Now we got to break it down into everyday life and explain it, because when you understand that and you fall into the habit and you maintain the habit, you don't see those signs and behaviors all the time. Now, it happens on the good end too. Let's say you're, looking for a new job or trying to get a new car, or, anything you're manifesting in your world, just like you want to manifest this child's improvement in their speech. This manifestation works for you. You're powerful people, especially when you understand that it's not just your late talker's telepathic message that you're really good at interpreting. It's also your partner, your spouse, your kids, your other kids, your dog, the boss, the guy who's trying to sell you this car or send you some kind of quick fix thing or get you to buy their therapy or all that. Like, you, because you are so good, like I said, you have this superpower talent as the parent or caregiver of a child who's late talking, or an animal trainer or a grandparent or anybody who's around and having to get through life successfully with somebody who doesn't use speech, somebody, some being, some whatever, right? Even if you're trying to communicate with your computer, you have to speak the same language as the computer. And the same thing works with your late talkers. Like, they're coming at you with their language. And it might not even be real words. It's just the idea. Oh, he's hungry, or oh, his stomach hurts, or oh, you always get that. Oh, those are the messages that you're getting. And so you can't ignore them. It's real communication, and you have the option, I say the opportunity to transmute it. So, right. So, first thing is all the messages you're getting. Oh, maybe those maybe he's, perhaps it was. I was kind of thinking it might be. It's true. Trust it. They all have meaning and they all have value. And your interpretation of what you're seeing is better than average. So other people who misjudge things when they see them on the street, they take the bait, right, from people who are trying to sell them a bag of goods or something like that. When these things start to happen to people, it means that they're not using their intuition to look for the meaning behind the message. But you, who are in the habit, a facilitator, parent, or caregiver, or anybody who's in the habit of interpreting messages that are behind the behaviors or whatever other kinds of things are coming at you, messages all the time, right? You're better at getting them correct than the average person. It's because you've been through trial and error, right? You tried in assuming. So all of you out there, raise your hand. I know you're out there. You've been guessing, right? You weren't using your interpretation, your intuitive interpretation. You were using the face value thing. Oh, he's this. Oh, he's that. And whenever you assumed incorrectly, that's when you were using your front mind, the assumption mind, the analytical mind, the logical mind, the why me mind, the triggered mind, instead of your spiritual space where you're really connecting with whoever is communicating to you. So they all have meaning that might not be face value. In fact, these days, most of the time there is hidden meaning in everything. When we look at how the world is working right now, everybody's got an agenda. And if you see someone coming at you, projecting an agenda at you, you go, look, this sounds like just like my late talker who's projecting I need more chocolate, screen time, be with you, to go outside. They're letting you know, I want you to give me something. I want you to respond to me. I want you to solve my problem. Give me language. Teach me something. Keep me entertained. Like, that's the messages, right? Boom, 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 boom. And they all have meaning. And you're probably right. And if you're not right, it or it doesn't apply, or you're like, I don't even get it. Like, I don't understand what I do. She says, that's what I do. I'm not sure that's what you do, but hopefully you need to stop, drop, and roll. That's what I call this point where you're triggered, right? As soon as the fire gets triggered, you got a choice. You can run around and go, we're on fire, and fan the flames, or stop, drop, and roll with intentional action to put out the flames and solve the problem so you can move forward. Okay. And this is what's necessary for the process. So first you have to trust that the messages are real, but maybe if it's not applying to right now, right here, because you're thinking about it later, right? You could be one of those later receiving messages because maybe you're not so good. Maybe you're still struggling with getting triggered by your kid's behavior, and your kid keeps showing behavior because you still keep getting triggered by their behavior and you're still in that cycle, right? So it's up to you now, later, when you go, oh, that's why it keeps happening now. Maybe that's why you're here. That's why he keeps pouring out the stuff or peeing this place, or who knows what they're doing. They're going to do something that's going to trigger you to make a change because that's what they need. And that's the intuitive message behind any kind of repetitive nagging, like we want to say. Because you're late talker, these messages are real. They've got a reason for them. And they're not just saying them to say them. They're saying them because they intend for you to act on these messages. You're the caregiver. You're the parent. They're here telling you, I need you to step up and help me out right now. And so you might not go, you might realize now, oh, that's why he's behaving. It'll apply later. Or you think, because the other reality is, your late talker is also a human being who is worried or about how maybe something that happened in their past is going to happen again in their future. And they're worried that's why they don't trust people. That's why they shut down. That's why they, all these nonverbal messages where even if they know speech, they get around other people and it shuts down and they go back to telepathy. Tell them I need help. Tell them I can't do that. Tell them I'm not ready. Tell them I need more support. Tell them I. all those things that you're like, no, my kid needs this and my child is this, and you don't understand my child. All that stuff is coming from them through you. That's the telepathy, right? That's how the energy is literally moving. They're like, remember, I need help with that. And these people don't know me. You know me, right? Because it could be applying. They're thinking about, oh, I need you to step up later, and I need to remind you to step up, because remember, you could be doing this with your late talker. Remember, school's coming. I need you to step up. You got to listen to the teacher. You got to follow directions. I know you don't like it. No, 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 no. All the things that we expect our kids to do to be humans and survive in a world that judges them, it's not so nice for them. And we still make them stick it out and put them in these places, right? And they're worried about fear, safety, people judging them, who knows what. They know, because they experienced it in their past, right? And they're letting you know, remember, I didn't like that. Remember, it wasn't good for me. Remember, that's bad. And it's up to you to say, oh, my kid doesn't need it, or to help your kid work through and earn it and get it. And that's how you're going to use some of these messages, folks. So here's the thing. When you get a message and you're trying to work with it, this is the first place you start, because you have to get out of this mind, this monkey mind, the one that says, yeah, he means me, the XYZ, and you jump right away into your defense mode, fight or flight. So if this message that you interpret is triggering you into action, because all of them are triggering you into action. One of them is inspired action, the action that your lay talker intends for you to do behind the message. And the other one is your action based on the judgment of the behavior at face value. So this is it, where you have a choice right now to test the ideas you understand. And the way you do it is to stop. And the drop is to drop out of your head and drop into your gut, okay? And that's how you roll forward with intention, and not with this crazy chaos, I got to run around, things are on fire, okay? This is how you transmute these messages, because once your child sees, she's connected with me, I got her, he's backing you up to remind you, and they'll show you that you are right 100% of the time. The behavior will change. The situation will resolve, because you have figured out what is necessary, because you acted from your gut and not an impulsive, super fast action that you didn't stop, drop out of your head to roll before you roll forward. Okay? So you understand the idea. But which part of you is understanding? We talk about the gut brain. We got two brains, and how what you feed your gut matters. That's all true, because what works, your sacral chakra, if you look at energy, what happens around that area is all about what you do. You decide what you put in your mouth. Your body says, I like it or I don't, from your gut, right? A little something, ooh, I like this sweet thing. Too much, not so nice, right? Same comes the energy for this action you're going to take based on this inspired message. Okay. Now, as you get good at this, right, the first step is to train yourself over time. Because if you're one of those that is easily triggered into the judgment, oh no, and because what it does is it puts you into worry, fear, fight or flight. If you see a behavior and you feel that trigger, I gotta do what I gotta do, right? See the light, the things go off. That's your alarm, your fire alarm. And your time to drop into your gut. Now you got to take care of your gut. Just like you feed your kids special diets or whatever, you monitor what they put in their mouth. You also need to monitor what you put in your mouth, because intuition doesn't work well when your gut is upset. Okay, by the things you put in, because we all get upset stomachs when we go, like anxiety, it all goes there, especially as we get older, especially us women who have a lot of hormonal things that affect how this works in your gut. So your diet for you, it doesn't have to be the same diet. I'm not saying that this diet, that diet, XYZ diet is good, but you need to know what diet is good for you. And how you do that is to test the ideas with your body, right? And then as you evolve, you look for patterns in the signs to see how they evolve into a story. Oh, because over time, you're testing every day, is this inspired action or not? Is it inspired action or not? And the reason many of you are feeling stuck is because so many times you didn't stop and drop, you just went rolling. My job is to roll. I'm in fight or flight. I got to take care of this. I got to handle it. I got to do whatever, right? Time is ticking. School's coming fast. I got to make this happen, right? That's all up here. That's not in your gut, because that stuff is what gives you an ulcer, right? Makes you drink caffeine drinks and, because I got to do more. I got to have more, right? This is supposed to be an easy, happy, safe, and fun process. So as the story evolves, folks, you'll see it evolve into a story about how this inspired action, not only is it feeling better because my gut isn't upset by this action, and I'm doing what resonates with my kid, the behavior's changing, it all starts to feel a lot better. And then you start to leave things behind, habits, patterns, other behaviors, things, problem solving tactics, whatever you used to do, you start to leave it behind and evolve the story, because now you have a new child. Because it's true that your child is evolving their communication day by day. And if you stay the same, even if you get this new level and you're like, oh, he needs me to talk more, and you just start blah, 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 talking more, and you're still up here talking, saying all those phrases, I'm hoping he'll imitate me, because now I know because before, when I got down here in my gut, I realized he needs me to talk more about this. So now I'm just focused on this and talking more about this. But your child shifted and switched gears so fast, because they do, and they're fast and they're thinking, intuitively, and you're still stuck over here. But wait, no, you asked me to talk about this before. And he's like, yeah, I know, but I need this now. Yeah, I know, but I need this now. Yeah, I know, but I need this now. This is how the energy goes. And if you're not intuitively following, keeping up with your late talkers, fast going, boom, 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 because they're all like, it doesn't feel good, I'm out. This feels good, I'm in. They're operating from their gut. Every time they see something that's confusing or whatever, they're like, no, I'm acting from my gut. I'm acting from my intention. This is how children roll, right? Especially late talkers, kids who need to scan their environment to see where it's safe to be who they want to be, where they're not going to be judged, where they're going to be facilitated. So when they be who they are in their behavior, they're around somebody like you who intuitively goes, oh, let's dig into this for a minute. Let me give you a more evolved way to tell this story that you're clearly telling me through your behavior, because I remember you did this before, and you were over there and you did it, and you were over there and you did it, and you were over there and did it. This is my sign and signal that you don't have language for this yet. And so now, guess what? We're going to dig in, because you're so interested in, obviously you keep bringing up the subject all through this week, but you don't have language for it. Intuitively, I know this is where we're going. I'm following your lead. I'm responding to you. I'm doing, saying, and showing what you need to learn from. And anytime I guess wrong, or I think, oh no, I think he needs to learn this, you're going to show me with your body, I'm out of here. No, you're wrong. You're guessing again. You're projecting what you think I want onto me. And that's what comes from here. You're mirroring. They're projecting messages from their heart and their gut and their intuitive energy all around them. Look at that over there. Do you see that? Learn from that, Mom. Like, they're telling you all the ways to learn, and you're all like, why is he pointing over there? I'm here. And you missed it, right? And so they'll keep doing it and get bigger, bigger, bigger. And the more you stay in judgment, the connection is gone. But the opposite is also true. You're like, oh yeah, no, he's showing whatever. And people will be around you going, he said all that. He was just pointing over there. You're like, no, I know him. He tells stories like that. He'll remind me of things that he saw when we were whatever. And that means I have to dig back into my story, because he tells a story with one gesture. That's how well I know this intuitive message. Your late talkers have been doing it forever. They've been telling you detailed information and long stories about why I feel this way and why I need you to do it, and why. Remember, because especially if your late talker is over 3 years old, they didn't have the ability to say, why is the sky blue? Why is the rain fall? Why is this happening? But they're thinking it. They're thinking it, and they're projecting those questions and ideas and curiosities out all over the world with their energy. It's up to you to be the receiver. of those messages instead of just judging that behavior. Okay, so you're going to look for the patterns, and the sequences of seemingly random but similar events are telling the story parallel to your experience. So that's your job as the intuitive facilitator, is to go, oh, he's talking about this back thing, because he is remembering, she is remembering the past and thinking about the future, just because in their humanness they do. And you can't think that this child who just isn't talking isn't thinking about what happened to them that was potentially traumatic or potentially exciting or potentially the best day of their life, and they never think about it again. That's nuts. You think about it, they think about it. You are a mirror. It's all like this, especially with these late talkers. So look for those things. Look for it. And then, just like I said, you have to share those messages out loud, as well as your plan to take the inspired action. Oh, you're telling me this because you need this, and this is what I can do about it. Maybe I can't do anything about it because you're telling me you want to watch, videos all day, and suddenly that's not in the plan. I know we used to, but we're not anymore, and these kinds of changes and all this kind of stuff, right? You have to say it out loud. What you intend, what is the intended action that you plan on doing based on this intuitive message. Your child wants to know. You would want to know, right? If I said, this is what's going to happen, and you're like, wow, give me the step by step. What can I expect from you from point A to point B? You want to know, right? Just like you're watching this video, enhance my intuitive messages. How? Right? You want to know how, so you're ready to listen and learn, but you give their responsibility over someone. You got to show me. I don't know yet. And your child all day long is doing this. I don't know this yet. That's why I do this behavior. I don't know this language. I don't know how. I can't do it by myself yet. And you have a choice. Do I just listen to my child asking for me to help them, or assume that they want me to do it for them and just do it for them? Because the more you assume, the more you guess, the more you're going to come back with egg on your face. It happens to all of us. Unless you're intuitively connected with your audience. It's all just projection of what you think they want to hear, right? But what your communication partner wants to hear, whether it's this child, whether it's your partner, whether it's your boss, whether it's the lady you meet at the grocery store, or the man who writes you a speeding ticket, any of those things, like, everybody's communicating. All right. So I have a tool for you. Those of you who are interested in doing some metaphysical work with yourself and with your child, I want you to invite you to work with your team. And when I talk about your team, that is your spiritual team. It is consisting primarily, the leader of that team is your higher self, your inner child, the you that was you before you got this meat suit body, the one that came here. Yes, I believe in reincarnation because I am bringing wisdom to this channel that I got in previous lifetimes, that I also learned in this one, because I'm not too much of a spring chicken anymore. However, I am benefiting from being on the planet for nearly 3 decades so that I can, 2 decades, 60 years, 6 decades. I'll be almost 60 years old, and so that's it, you guys. The idea is we have a team, and I didn't really key into my team until after I was 50 years old, and you can key into your team right now, log in with them. And so what you do first is you have to have a meditation practice. You have to find a place where you can be with these people, these entities. They could be dead people. They could be your child's energy. This is the energy of the spirit of other beings, earthlings, planetary ones, higher beings, Jesus, Buddha, whoever you have represented in your energy. Because if you've given these people any kind of appreciation, these people, these entities, these spiritual beings, right? Because we're all spiritual beings in human form while we're incarnated here. And when we're not incarnated here, we communicate with the ones that aren't here now as physical 3D humans. And so you've got a whole team of them, and it probably rotates in and out. I know mine has. Different times of my life, I was in very big, different situations. And so I had different teams coming. And it was a combination of all that. People who in my life who died, people who, you know, anyway, people who I connected with in real life, their higher selves communicate with me. Is when you get into metaphysical work, you take information from everywhere, especially if you're a solo traveler like me. I never travel alone, but I do travel solo. And because I don't have any partners here in the physical realm, I use my team. And you have a team too. And maybe if you feel all alone, many of you do feel all alone in your process of, look, this is like me. I'm all alone in the world. I'm the only one that believes in this late talker. I'm the only one that believes that I am getting these telepathic messages. I'm the only one. I try to tell other people and they think I'm wacky or I have mental health issues or something like that, right? So if that's you, if you're feeling alone, then you have a team to communicate with. And so the first step when you communicate with a team is to identify who they are. Ask them their name and purpose. And so you're going to have to meditate. You're going to have to do it in the shower or in the bed or after a night when your kids go to sleep or while you're taking a walk or, whatever. When you have no distractions from this 3D world and you can connect into other dimensional beings that are helping share messages from you. And if you want to connect with your child's inner child who will communicate with you through actual speech and images, you can do that as well. And you just add your child to the team, because your team, if you're asking, for advice, that's the idea, is to ask for specific advice from your team so that you are getting, okay, my purpose is here to keep you safe. My purpose is here to help you make money. My purpose is here to make sure that you are happy in your everyday life, that you're not attached to things that don't belong for you anymore. Partners, old therapies, old jobs, old places you lived, stuff in your house. That's what's going to happen, is you're going to get messages about ways to clean up your act, right? Because that's why you're looking. It's a mess right now. The world is a mess right now. We've got planetary energies that are triggering us to make change. So you have to activate your team by asking for help. You identify who they are and their purpose, and then you wait and you'll be patient, and then you look for the synchronicities. You'll see pictures, you'll see images, you'll hear things, whatever. And if you don't hear anything, like if you're like, I hear from this, whatever, then you got to try again the next day, and you got to try again the next day, because there's something in that process that you're blocking, that you don't believe it for real or whatever. But I'm telling you that I don't even believe that's true. I think you're going to hear something, but you don't trust it. That's what goes on for most of us when we're in this. Like, you wake up and you go, man, I should do, and it's bigger idea than you ever thought of in your life, because it came from your team. It didn't come from your little mind. It came from the higher evolved beings that are trying to advise you to act through your heart and your gut, right? Instead of this monkey mind business. And you're going to get this big idea like, I could do this and I could do this. And you're going to feel inspired and want to do it. And you're going to go out and try it in the real world. And then you're going to go, oh, I'm in this meat suit and I still am depressed. You're going to remember all the things that I call the anchors that keep your energy low. And then you got a choice, right? You got to figure out, how do I move forward? And my advice for you, if you do start to connect and get messages, which you will, because you're watching this video with the intention to do it, and it happens automatically, first time, as long as you believe that you're going to receive messages, because you already are receiving messages, and you say, look, I'm ready to dial this in. I'm ready to eliminate distractions. That's why meditation is important. You got to close your eyes. You got to close your ears. You got to shut down the world for a minute. That's why the shower, if there's nowhere else, right, that you can get in there and just say, all right, who's talking to me? Who's here? And, I really need some advice about what I'm doing about this. I'm trying to make a decision. I'm trying to move from point A to point B. That's what our time is here. And if you journal your ideas and messages from your team, you can refer to them later and then take inspired action, right? Because again, you're going to, as you journal and your everyday experience, even if you're using my workbook, there's a part in there every few weeks for you to stop and really think about what's going on here. How is my life changing? How is my child's life changing? Because this is life-changing work. that you were given to do, because, God, whoever you feel is that higher being in control of how everybody gets connected and all that happens. It could come from who knows who's influencing the people around you to come to you, to trigger you into your healing trauma, to trigger you into your reconnection with your child, to trigger you into your purpose, which for now is facilitating this child's wisdom that's stuck in their energy body, that's just pulsing here and sending out messages all the time, how to bring that to the world so everybody can understand them, not just you with your telepathy and your intuitive connection that you've cultivated with this child. I mean, at first, you need to be their loudspeaker, their interpreter, and how to change and transmute these messages into speech so other people will see your child's value. And then once they see, oh, other people are doing it, safe for me to present myself and my value, then they're going to talk. They always do. They always do. And it doesn't matter if they've got a diagnosis or what or not. Their history until now was blocked because they didn't have this. They didn't have you to help them interpret and transmute these nonverbal messages, because they've been living on behavior their whole life, no matter if they're 3 or 13 or 16, or it doesn't matter how old they are. You as their parent are capable already receiving messages, like I said, better than average. You've got a better skill than the average person, because ever since this baby was born, even before, they were communicating to you. And then as other parents lost that ability to interpret and understand their kids' behavior because they started talking and they took their speech for face value. So if you have a child who's late talking, they started talking and you're responding to that. That's what's going on here. So yeah, my son was written off and given 12 hours of speech and locked. Yeah, so that's the idea. It doesn't matter what other people think about your child and what they do, even if you put them in speech therapy, folks. Like I said, whatever I've seen, I have yet to see a speech therapy appointment on video that someone was able to record. And that speech therapist knew they were being recorded. And they still behaved in a way that was completely unconscious, that was completely in the mindset of, I'm going to make this kid do or say whatever, and I'm only going to feel good when I make that happen. And so they pull out all their bully sticks or candies, and then that's how they get it happening. But none of that is going to get the result that these strategies that I told you about today, because you and your higher self and your team, you know this child, you know your power, you know how these other people, entities, because they're all meat suits, spiritual beings, they're just unconscious, walking around in their egos, right? I make kids happen. Even you don't know your late talker. You're just interpreting what they're telling you who they are. You're just helping the world see who they are and what they know and how brilliant they are and how important they are to bring their energy and light to the world, right? And that's what your job is as a language facilitator. And yeah, no matter how hard you push and pressure this child, it's not going to come through the way you want. It's only going to come through the way you want when you activate, cultivate, facilitate these telepathic messages, because that's what language facilitation is. That's really all it is. And anybody out there, the natural people and talkie boxes and all these other things that talk about natural language acquisition, this is the natural language. Natural language is in all ways speech, right? We always talk about all behaviors communication. And so when you realize that as a facilitator, and then you stop, drop into your gut and your heart, out of your head, analyze the message from that standpoint, you're always going to get the right message. Then you got to trust it. And you got to take inspired action based on advice from your team and your higher self, and stop listening to those people outside. This is the time of our Earth's evolution where all of us, if you want to evolve through this, if you don't want to get sucked up into the hurricane chaos that's going to be happening with the astrology, it's breaking down school systems, banking systems. You'll hear the astrologers, like if you're a spiritual person and you're watching other people who talk about this, they're going to happen. But again, if you want to fight, you can have one. But you don't have to fight with your child, and you don't have to fight with these people about your child either. Just bypass it all. Become sovereign in your own self. Take your own advice or the advice from your team, right? Because they're never going to steer you wrong. You might get led into things, you know, when your mind gets into no, but, yeah, but, if you hear yourself saying that to your team's just going to say, all right, not ready now. Enjoy your stuck situation. Enjoy staying where you are because it's your choice. This is the free will we have as humans. We can listen to whatever we want, right? Now, your team always has you, and it's you. It's always going to do right by you. And your team may tell you that some of the stuff you're doing, you got to stop doing, and yourself might not agree with the team. That's where your spiritual work has to happen. You have to understand why that happens for yourself. Because if you're fighting with your team, just like you're fighting with me or you're fighting with anybody, fight or flight, right? That's all up here. That's not in your heart. That's not going to get you anywhere. And I want you to get somewhere with this late talker because I can't wait to hear the wisdom they have to share with the world. All right. Thank you so much for watching again today. These videos are going to be really whatever. So yeah, I say I love your book. Gave me hope and practical tips with my son. That's what we do. If the world is not helping you, then it's time to help yourself. And that's what these tools are for. All of my books are here to help you help yourself. And I hope that, this was inspiring for you. I can't wait to see. Comment on this video if you're watching on the replay. What have you inspired to do? Break away from the system to make a big change based on either intuitive guidance from your team or the intuitive guidance directly from your late talker. Which of those telepathic messages geared you to leave something behind in a big way to free up the space to move forward into inspired action? That's going to facilitate the improvement. If you had an experience like that, I want to hear about it in the comments. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.